Alrighty, welcome to Cam's Art Out of the Fire. This week we're going to be talking about Armour books, and I will be referencing a mixture of leather and steel. To start off with, the Techniques of Medieval Armoury Reproduction. This book is a godsend. I brought this book in 2010. This has taught me how to fix and modify armour so much. I do recommend, if you're getting into the trade as a armourer, get this book. This book will show you the techniques to reproduce medieval armour. It's got chainmail, it's got dishing, it's got forming, it's got Dakota plates, your basic full plate armour. Get it. It has the tools, the techniques, the whole lot. How to do the etching, the buffing, the tempering, the actual manufacturer, the putting together, the chainmail, the patterning of how to make the stuff, how to work it all out. When I brought this, it was a $300 to $400 book. When I brought this book, I know now you can buy this in soft cover. This one's a hard cover. You can now buy these for about $70 to $90 online. Soft cover, what is a little bit thinner. This one's, because it is slightly thicker, heavier gauge paper, it is worth the money. This will never go into my workshop. This will be literally, I photograph it or I scan it to get the image to take into the shop to work out the measurements for the piece of steel that I need to work on. Definitely worth grabbing. You never know what kind of stuff you may need. This literally will show you step by step. The etching, the tooling, the tools, the most important, the tools. This has a complete section of what kind of tools you're actually going to need to make armour. Or even the rough shapes you're going to need to make armour. It's mint. You really need, if you're getting into armour making properly, get this book. I haven't been able to find any other books of good value, good quality and good references of armour making other than this one that I would recommend everyone who gets into armour making to get this book. Where these are less making books that I'm about to show you. These books are books that I recommend you getting. These actually show you the images of the actual armour at, if I remember rightly, this one's Leeds Museum, I think. But yeah, this one's a lot older book. I think this one's 80s, 90s, in the 80s, 70s, 90s, 70s and 80s. This one was published in 2002. Both these books have really good images of the armour of medieval time periods, the weapons, the whole shebang. These books are worth the money just for the illustrations in these and the actual photographs. Whoops, there goes my fur. Just the quality of the photos makes it worth you getting. Just for the weapons, the armour, the pieces, that pretty. It's amazingly good, worth getting this book if you can still get it. I found this one also in a second-hand bookstore. I think I paid not that much for it. I paid $35 for it back in the day. That would have been a $100 book, easy, from the original store. It's worth every cent for me because, well, I work in a medieval themed castle, so having access to these books make it worth me paying that money for. Because yeah, these have images of the original Armours, the Armours what are in the museums. Worth checking out those ones. Not so much making books, but they're worth as a reference. So I do recommend, if you can get your hands on reference books, even better, because you never know what you might find in them. I don't know where my chainmail book is, but you can find out how to make chainmail on Pinterest and online fairly easy. There is plenty of books out there now showing how to do chainmail as jewellery. That is also a good reference point to actually start making your full shirts of chainmail. Most of the time, most chainmail is 1 to 4. So 1 centre ring, 4 outer rings. What comes in handy. Now, this book is your finishing work for your plate armour. This is also useful for patterns for your actual leather armour. I'm using these books, like this one's mostly for gun mech fittings, but if you want to do ornate chisel work and etching work into your armour, I do recommend getting this book as a good referencing point. I have seen some amazing work from people who have read this book and used this book. This book also shows the tools, the methods, the techniques, the lettering, how to do carvings and drawings with the actual chisels. It's mostly a gun book, but for myself, I use this more for the ornate knives and armour fittings to go with it. So, but also a good book for just reading to get more knowledge, and I do recommend the more knowledge you get in this trade, the better. The more you read, the better you get. It's one of those strange factors that you need to be able to find a good reference to learn stuff. I have seen Alex Steele and Ilya both reference this book in on their YouTube channel, so I recommend checking that out. Now, reaching over to grab my leatherworking ones, I can't find my wax hardening book, but most of the wax hardening I do recommend getting online and watching. I think his group is the Dark Horse Armory or Dark Horse Creations. I'll put it in the thing up there somewhere. He makes boiled leather armour, where I learned how to do soft form and water forming leather through reenactment, and I came across these two books. These two, this one's more for your patterns for making your pouches, your bags, your satchels, your shoes. It's a good one. It gives you some, like, the basic wallets, your lace work, how to use your tools and all this stuff. Where it's a good reference. I use it occasionally, but not very often. I normally go and talk to Laszlo or Ari. Actually, I might give Laszlo a plug. He's just launched his own YouTube channel not that long ago. I'll put his link up above or in the description below. But this one here, it's more your artistic bags, pouches, your wet forms, your drums, your musical instruments. This one also shows you how to use your tools to do the stuff that you need in the leather forming and wet forming and tool work. I got this one in amongst, like, these two books I scored in an auction where I was ordering for the bookshelf, and they said no, all the books in there as well. And I went, cool. So I scored a whole heap of ceramic making and leather working and casting books all in one go the casting ones I've used more since these. But then I've got the bush leatherworking book. I remember these in Scouts. This book taught me how to make woggles and making up basic wallets and pouches. This book precisely has whip making in it, and it's a project I wouldn't mind trying down the track, but it shows you how to do your woven leathers. It's worth that just by looking for that kind of information is to find it in this book. But yeah, it's not quite an armour making book, but this one has the tools you're going to need to do your wet form carving tools, your bare tools, your bare minimum. You actually need the tools to actually start. So, let's see if I can find it. It's got the tools in the first panels. Where is it? I went too quick. It even shows you how to make some of the tools. It's that handy. So it's worth grabbing the books for that reason, is that it's got the knowledge of how to make your tools, handmade leatherworking tools. Yeah, it's worth it just to grab that for making your leather armour. Now, because I can't show you some of the books, I'm going to show you this thing. I've learnt so much more about leather forming and leather armour from a tablet online, due to a recent thing with LARPing has made leather armour really popular, and how to make leather armour really popular. I did a 5-second search on, typed it into into Pinterest, and I came up with over 2,000 different references on just leather armour. This will show it has wet forming all the way through to lamellar, lames, splintered, the whole lot. I do recommend checking it out on Pinterest. I'm on there as well, so if you want, you can find me on there. I do have some links in amongst that. But it also has chainmail. It also has how to make your modern blacksmith armour, your more custom, your more fantasy. You can find all this stuff online at your fingertips nowadays, where 10 years ago you would have to go and find someone to make it for you or learn from the books. I haven't got the books because I've learnt from people, and I've learnt from talking to them. I've got a couple friends who are armourers here in Australia, and I personally see them as masters, and they see themselves as journeymen. Their knowledge is what I couldn't even get in a lifetime. They have it, and they're at that point where they're starting to share that information, and I can't wait for them to actually start teaching it as a actual lesson, because then I would actually be interested to learn. But in the meantime, I'm finding people online who are able to teach me how to make stuff. I think it's Greenleaf Armory. It's a company over in Europe, I think. He's on YouTube, and he makes amazing medieval armour and fancy armour. I'm not sure if he makes fancy armour, but he makes armour by doing stuff like this. Where myself, I also see Weta as a amazing source of information. Their behind the scenes books for most of their movies shows you how they have made their swords, how they made their armour, how they make the costumes, all the things that you're going to need as a reference. It might not be the right materials, but it shows you an option if you're doing the LARPing or if you're doing the reenactment of these two different styles of making. There's also the stage art. I could show what I'm more interested in to show in the future more stagecraft stuff of how to make for movies, how to make for TV, LARPing events, reenactment events. Stuff that looks the part but not quite right. I love the reenactment side that is historically accurate, but it's just too restrictive to what I want to develop. TVs and movies, I've actually got a couple of pieces what have ended up on a couple of TV shows. I've had a couple of pieces end up on movies. I just can't say what they are. I also got a couple of YouTube video guys who are using my props for making TV ads. My costumes for that matter as well. So you have to work on the way that the quickest way of making some of this stuff is actually just to physically go and make the original. So I do recommend, if you can, use this. The information for digging up information on getting armour nowadays, get online. It's the quickest way to doing it. You may have to fact check, go back and check it multiple times through different sources, because like I've been saying, online stuff you do not need to show that you understand to your peers that what you are saying is true. I do recommend, if you can, find the books. If not, find the hard copy, find the digital copy. Talk to an armourer, talk to a bladesmith, talk to a blacksmith, talk to a props company guy, anyone who's got the knowledge of how they do the stuff. Ask questions and you're always going to get an answer. So yeah, so definitely go ask your local blacksmith, go ask your local armourer, go talk to your local bladesmith. There's always someone who's willing to share the information. So the tablet or computer, your mobile phone even, is a good starting point. But always check with going from the digital form into a knowledge form of what is being factualized. So definitely check that out. If you've been enjoying these content, please let me know. Like, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know what you want to know. If I got the knowledge, I'll let you guys know. I've got skills that not many people have. I've got knowledge that not many people have from all the stuff that I've done over the last 30 years. So yeah, definitely ask me anything that you think I could know. I'm definitely going to be doing some more making videos shortly. I'm just trying my hands. I'm doing this more as a showing of that I've got different knowledge out there than just I'm a blacksmith. I'm realizing that I've got skills that not many people have. I've got the 3 different areas that I can share with you guys. I can do the leather working, the leather working, the armour, and the blacksmithing. Yeah, and maybe even the bladesmithing. Make that 4. They're the 4 areas that I want to take this channel in the next little while. I'm going to show you guys parts of each and see what you guys want to know. So if you like this, like, comment and subscribe. Feel free to let me know what you want to know. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee, go for a Ko-fi, what is in the description above. Also, I have an Etsy account in Etsy under Cam's Art Out of the Fire, all in one word. Yeah, I'd like to say thank you for your support, and I'll catch you next time.